Good evening, everyone. I'm not sure why it's sharing. I want to welcome you to our Season of New Beginnings program. Tonight, we will be talking about planting healthy habits. Before we begin, I just wanted to go over a few logistics with you. As all of your cameras are off and you will be muted throughout the program, we will have a question and answer period at the end, but if you do have question and answers throughout, you can easily just put them in the chat bar and we will answer them as we see along the evening, but also if we need to, we can discuss them at the end. So before we move on, I just wanted to go through a few of our webinar logistics and just discuss with you a little bit about Cooperative Extension. This actual program is the third of our Season of New Beginnings nights. We had done the first and the second earlier in the month. And if you were not able to join us, hopefully you can review the recordings, which will be available sometime next week. So we'll get those out to you. Our structure of Rutgers Cooperative Extension is a partnership between the Board of County Commissioners, Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, and the USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. And we have faculty and staff in 20 of the 21 New Jersey counties. We are comprised of 3 departments, all of which will be represented this evening, one of which is the Agriculture and Natural Resources, the 4-H Youth Development, and Family and Community Health Sciences. Family and Community Health Sciences, we provide outreach to New Jersey and beyond, and topics of nutrition, chronic disease prevention, food safety, and overall wellness. So a little bit about this evening's program, we'll focus on that and discuss a little bit about gardening and physical activity in that sense, taking those gardening, produce that will be grown and incorporate those into a healthy diet, and then discussing a little bit more about plant-based dieting. So this is our agenda. I am Rachel Tansey, the Senior FCHS Extension Associate based in Monmouth County. Then we will have a talk from Dr. Charisse Porter discussing the planting healthy habits. Then our Master Gardener guest presenter, Claire Skeen, will be talking about pizza gardens and how to grow those. And our 4-H Program Associate, Virginia Krasnowski, will talk about pizza and how to make all of those yummy, delicious things that we've grown in our garden into something delicious to eat for the evening. And then at the end of the presentation, we will be discussing how to go through all of those things, answer any of your questions, and if you could present one of our polls at the end. So we ask you complete that. It would only take a couple minutes of your time. So I am going to stop sharing here and ask if Charisse could please join us and share her screen. Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much, Rachel, for that introduction. And so to start off this evening with the theme of planting healthy habits. So thank you again for joining us this evening to learn more about planting healthy habits. And this will be a 2-part presentation. First, we will explore the benefits of plant-based eating and talk about some easy ways for you to be more aware of opportunities to incorporate more plant-based foods. And then following this theme of plant-based foods, we will focus on ways you can stay fit and physically active as we move into the season of spring. So one fun way to do so is by gardening. So why not try growing your own foods to share with family, friends, and neighbors? So growing your garden can be a lot of hard work. So later we'll show you some important tips for staying physically fit while you're working in your garden. So as you may have guessed, many people struggle with getting the daily recommended amounts of fruits and vegetables. Getting at least 5 servings a day is a good start, and adding more is even better. So there are about 90% of Americans fall short of
getting the recommended amounts of vegetables daily. And in terms of fruit, about 80% of the American population falls short of getting its daily recommended amounts of fruit. So that's a significant number just to give an idea of why it still is important to have this kind of conversation about the importance of plant-based eating as part of a daily lifestyle. So plant-based foods can be a more environmentally sustainable option as compared to the resources that are required to raise and produce and transport animal-based foods. And then also plant-based foods have a number of health benefits. So why not get the most value out of your meals? Now, there are plenty of plant-based options and ways to incorporate more plant-based foods into your daily eating patterns. So, for instance, we have herbs. Herbs are great for adding flavor to your food without the need for extra salt, fats, heavy butters, sauces, or those extra add-ons we like to put on top. And herbs, both the fresh and dried versions, may provide things like antioxidants that help protect against diseases such as certain forms of cancer, as well as heart disease and other cardiovascular health issues. Now, we also have beans and legumes for protein and fiber, and they're also low in saturated fat. Seeds can benefit us in a way that they contain also antioxidants. And antioxidants are those compounds that are found in our foods that helps the body from the cells from oxidizing, basically cell damage and the need for repairing just because we're exposed to all kinds of exposures day to day. And so antioxidants can kind of help reduce the free radicals that circulate in our bloodstream. And those are damaged cells that could then affect other healthier cells. So that's why antioxidants are important. Then seeds also have protein, as well as they provide texture and interest to the foods, including giving us that satisfying crunch, like over a top of a salad or something. Flax seeds are a good source of omega-3 fatty acids when we'll talk about a little bit about cholesterol and lowering your cholesterol profile. The ground form of flax seeds, for example, makes it easier for the body to access all of its nutrients. So it's much readily more bioavailable, and the body can absorb the nutrients easier when they're ground. And ground flax seeds, it can be added to things like batters, like for making pancakes, or it can be added and sprinkled into shakes and smoothies. So this is just another way to boost what you're already perhaps doing in terms of snacks and beverages or any other types of meals you like to prepare. And then nuts are a good source of protein, such as walnuts. They also have omega-3 fatty acids and unsaturated fats, which promote, again, cardiovascular health. Nuts are also full of fiber, which help lower cholesterol, like almonds. And nuts also contain important minerals like magnesium and selenium. Magnesium helps to regulate the blood sugar levels. So that's why it's associated with helping to support the reduced risk of type 2 diabetes because of its position and functioning in helping to regulate blood sugar levels and insulin production. And magnesium is also important in supporting blood pressure. Similarly, selenium, it provides support for the thyroid and the immune system. And so these are great power snacks for when you're on the go. Nuts help you to stave off the hunger cravings by helping you to feel fuller. And for example, a handful of almonds are low in calories. They also have the good forms of fats that we're talking about, and particularly the monounsaturated fats and the polyunsaturated fats. So those are the good fats. And so there are some dietary fats that we need, and they're good for us. However, it's the saturated fats that we want to try to limit in our diets. Carrying a few nuts can help you a long way until you get to your next meal. And it's recommended to have about 1 to 1.5 ounces of nuts per day. And one study actually showed that there was about a 20% decrease in the risk of cardiovascular health or cardiovascular disease for folks who ate nuts on a daily basis as compared to those who did not eat nuts regularly or at all. And then grains. So one key tip here is about grains. Make half of your daily intake of grains in the form of whole grains. Whole grains are a wholesome option also for fiber and promoting cardiovascular health. And then finally, vegetables, of course, especially in their whole food form, are an excellent source for essential vitamins, minerals, also the phytochemicals. And they also have antioxidants, and some of their properties are anti-inflammatory, as well as antibacterial or antifungal. And then finally, they're full of fiber. So that's why we promote having the whole form of vegetables and fruits, because the skin provides the fiber. When you have juice, you're processing the food and you're not able to get all the components of the food in its whole form. So vegetables is what I would call as a basic sustaining source of life. And so when you're preparing your meals, be sure to look out and see whether or not half of your plate is full of either vegetables or fruits. So you want to try to consume that much, which is about five servings per day if you're going to do that and look at your meals. Okay. Now, there are a number of plant-based alternatives. So we have dairy, for example, in the form of milk and ice cream and cheese, but you'll often find other varieties of similar foods. So kind of just swapping out some of these. For example, you may see almond milk or rice milk or even cashew nut milk or soy milk. And so some of your favorite treats, like ice cream or puddings and things, can also be used using these alternative forms of what I call milk. Meat, for example. So for those who might be looking to swap out maybe a couple times a week, meat or poultry, some of our favorites are like bacon and ground meat and burgers and sandwiches. Well, you can pretty much do the same thing using a plant-based diet here. So for example, try coconut bacon for those BLTs or veggie burgers. And veggie burgers are great because you can begin to use whatever you have in your fridge that's leftovers, corn, beans, little brown rice, and putting that all together, or even chickpeas. So you can make a nice homemade veggie burger. Or you can also try a portobello mushroom burger. And the portobello mushrooms they have a lot of heft, very similar to what you would find with a meat-based burger. And so, for example, when I make my portobello mushroom burgers, I'll stuff them with some cheese, tomato, some fresh basil leaf, and season it with some infused olive oil of oregano and thyme. And mushrooms are, again, a nice alternative to either beef or turkey. Now, you could also feel full in this way, but also still be satisfied. Breakfast sausages. So you'll see also a variety of alternative sausages in the market these days. And most of these could be like pea protein based, and they might even utilize beets for the added color. Another option is firm tofu, and it's often a great substitute for slices of grilled chicken or in your stir fry recipes. And it also goes great as a substitute for scrambled eggs. And you can make a tofu scramble. And so you're maximizing your veggie intake by adding in mushrooms, onions, and peppers. Maybe adding in some cumin and adds a savory flavor, or curry to give you the yellow appearance that resembles eggs. And even in your baking, You can branch out from some of the typical wheat-based flours and explore some other flours like almond or coconut flours, or even chickpea flour. And then in terms of beverages, fruit juices, but fruit juices are a great option, but you want to stick to those that are 100% juice and limit the added sugar. Check out the nutrition facts label to see if the first two ingredients state water and either high fructose corn syrup or sugar. So on the nutrition facts labels, foods with the highest content of a certain ingredient are usually listed first. So if you see water and sugar first, that's pretty much what the bulk of that juice is. Other fruit juice blends will use sweet fruits like apple, grape, or pineapple juice to sweeten the juice. Or try building your very own customized smoothie. And yes, you can add nuts, nut butters like peanut butter, almond butter, and so on. And add in some veggies like spinach or kale, or even some fruits like strawberries or blueberries. And for the base or the liquid that you need when making your smoothie, instead of yogurt, you can try almond milk or any other plant-based milk of your choice. So some of the health benefits with plant-based eating um, are phytochemicals. So they're full of phytochemicals. They're also low in calories. As I mentioned earlier, full of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin K. So these are all great for different parts of helping our nervous system function, muscle support. They have lots of potassium and high in fiber and calcium for strong bones. So we need these vitamins and minerals to help our bodies to absorb other things like calcium. And so also it provides some support for chronic disease prevention and supports eye health. So let's look further at why it's important to add color to your plate. So for instance, those foods that are red, it's the phytochemicals that give those foods their rich color, whatever the color that may be. So for example, red foods, they support the risk reduction of heart disease. They support the risk, the reduction of the risk for heart disease. And it also reduces the risk of some cancers and infections. And then those yellow fruits and vegetables, they help support vision and the immune system. And the green vegetables and fruits or foods, those dark leafy greens, they provide lots of calcium. And for some people where they may be lactose intolerant or can't really accept dairy products, eating lots of leafy green vegetables can help provide you a source of calcium as well. So bone health is important there. And it also helps to reduce the risk of some cancers and inflammatory diseases. And then we have the blue and purple group, and they support memory and healthy aging and reduces the risk of some cancers. And then finally, we have the white, tan, and brown food groups, and those have a tendency to lower cholesterol and reduce risk of certain cancers as well. So remember, build your plant-based eating pattern slowly, maybe swapping out one new item per week if this is something that's new for you. And you don't want to overload your food with sauces and dressings because they can be high in sodium and added sugars. And then use some low-fat cooking methods. And I've seen the fried zucchini. So although it is plant-based, we can do things that have a tendency of reducing the health benefits just simply by the way that we're cooking our foods. And then also remember portion control. So everything in moderation. So there are daily recommendations for getting certain fruits and vegetables and plant-based foods in our diets every day, but you don't want to go overboard and consume too much of a good thing. And then finally, just enjoy the new experience of exploring the world of plant-based eating. So here are just a couple of ideas in terms of recipes. So on the left, we have the tabbouleh with mint and parsley. So here you have plant-based food with herbs to give it that extra bit of zest to it. Then you also have a vegetarian chili. So maybe you want to go meatless one day. And so the beans will mimic the flavor or mimic the heft that goes with the ground meat in your traditional chilies. And using seasonings like cumin can provide that smoky, earthy kind of flavor as well. And then for drinks, well, why not try a berrylicious lemonade or a sorrel? So you can get very creative and just watch how much sugar you're using. And then another idea would be like the cauliflower mac and cheese. So it's very simple recipe. You're just breaking up the cauliflower and then you're using whatever form of cheese or alternative forms of cheese that you may want to have and add in some onion and then you just let it bake. Very simple. Okay. So up next, I'm going to transition to gardening and exercise.
Gardening is a great way to do something fun and rewarding while also getting exercise. I invite you to follow along as I walk you through 10 exercises to do before and after gardening. As a reminder, before engaging in any new exercise program, please consult with your healthcare professional. Warming up muscles and stretching before doing any strenuous or vigorous activity, including gardening, where there may be bending, lifting, or repetitive movements, can help prevent injury. The following demonstrates regular and modified physical activity sets that are designed to help you move and stretch. Do the one that's most comfortable for you.
So thank you very much for your attention. Hopefully you picked up a couple of ideas along the way. So I'll turn it over to Rachel.
Thank you so much, Sharice. That was actually very informative. And I think it's actually important to note that not everybody realizes that gardening can be strenuous, and to exercise both before and after is really important as well, that it's a form of physical activity and we should treat it, with our bodies and warming up and cooling down. So that's really informative. I love that video.
Thanks.
Okay, so now I am going to introduce Claire and ask her to join us. And she's going to talk about pizza gardens and what we can be growing, hopefully in our own backyards, to get some more nutrition in our pizza. Hand it
Hi,
off to you.
everyone. Thanks so much for having me. And now that we are all warmed up from those great exercises, it's time to get gardening. So we are going to learn how to plant and tend a really fun pizza garden. So step one, as with anything, is the prep work. You would want to perform a soil test to determine if any amendments are needed. Ideal soil pH is about 6.5. You want to mark the garden using stakes. You need 5-foot lengths of string and some garden lime in a little Ziploc bag or a can to help you mark the perimeter of your pizza garden. You want to ask yourself, in planning the site for your garden, does your garden have at least 6 hours of sunlight and access to a water source? And now the fun begins. So here's a visual of what a pizza garden would look like. And it is in fact a round garden to resemble a pizza pie. So step two is digging the garden. You need tools such as shovels, spades, helping hands, and of course, lots of energy. Once the garden has been marked, the soil needs to be prepped. If you're digging your garden in your lawn, you obviously have to remove the turf. You want to dig down about 8 to 10 inches to turn the soil, break up any large clumps, and adding some compost to improve soil quality is always a good idea. This link is the link to the Rutgers soil testing lab. It's a really great idea to get a soil test before you plant to know if you need to fertilize, if you need to make any amendments to your soil. Step three is planting. And again, the tools that you're going to need are spades, your plants, obviously, water, stepping stones, mulch, and plant markers. And then here is your plant list for a garden about that size: 2 tomato plants, 3 basil plants, 3 jalapeno plants, 3 bell pepper plants, 1 oregano, 3 parsley, 2 thyme, 3 chives, 3 to 4 round paver stepping stones. And this is a cute idea because they sort of simulate pepperoni in your pizza garden. 6 garlic plants, which would go in the fall. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. And then 16 to 20 marigold plants. And first, we're going to talk about beautiful Jersey tomatoes. So they need a lot of sun, about 8 hours. They like well-drained soil. You want to know the variety of tomatoes that you're planting, whether they're determinate, semi-determinate, or indeterminate. The days to harvest will differ depending on the type of tomatoes you're planting. Determinate tomatoes produce many short branches and have a brief harvest period. Semi-determinate are more compact than indeterminate, but they'll continue producing until frost. And indeterminate tomatoes can grow quite large, so they will definitely need to be staked or supported. And again, they produce until frost. There is a wonderful Rutgers fact sheet, Growing Tomatoes in the Home Garden. And here is the link to that fact sheet. It's a great resource. Bell peppers, who doesn't love a pizza with bell peppers on it? The bell peppers like to be watered deeply. They're in the nightshade family. They probably will not need to be staked, but possibly, so be prepared for that if they grow large enough. Again, 8 hours of sun. And you want to make sure with any vegetables that you plant, you want to check them periodically for signs of any sort of bug infestation, aphids, flea beetles, spider mites. And now we're going to talk about beautiful basil. About 6 to 8 hours of sun is preferred. Again, watering deeply every several days. Don't let your basil go to flower. It changes the taste of the leaves. So you want to pinch off those flower buds frequently. Snip young leaves as you need them. If you're cutting a whole stem, you want to cut just above a pair of leaves. And basil can be frozen to enjoy during the winter months. Jalapeno peppers. Again, 6 to 8 hours of sun. A typical plant will grow about 24 to possibly 36 inches. They really produce, so be prepared for a bountiful harvest. And here's your fun fact for the evening. Jalapenos were the first pepper to travel to space on the shuttle Columbia in 1982. And here are chives. Chives are a member of the onion family. They have those beautiful lavender flowers, which are edible, or you can use them as a garnish. They are cold hardy, so they're perennial here in New Jersey, like to be watered deeply. And you harvest chives by snipping the leaves from the base of the plant. Oregano. Oregano, many, but not all oregano varieties are perennial here in New Jersey. Greek and Italian oregano are popular varieties for the home garden. And again, they love 6 to 8 hours of sun. And here is thyme. Many varieties, again, are perennial here in New Jersey. Full sun, but thyme will tolerate partial shade. And be mindful that not all thymes are culinary herbs, so check the plant tag just to make sure. And now garlic. Now this is a picture of hardneck garlic, and you see those curly scapes is actually what they're called. They're curling and then they're starting to point up again. That's how you know this is hardneck garlic, because only the hardneck garlic produces the scapes. And here's some fun facts, hardneck versus softneck. The hardneck obviously gives you the scapes. Softneck will store a little longer. It will give you more cloves, and it can be braided. So when you go to an Italian specialty food store and you see the braided garlic, that's softneck garlic. Hardneck, as we talked about, has a scape, which is delicious. Once that scape starts to point upwards again, you snip that off and you can turn that into a pesto, or you can baste it with some olive oil and salt and pepper and grill it. They are delicious. And then here's some flat leaf parsley for your pizza. Plant extra parsley. Plant some for you, plant some for the butterfly, the swallowtail butterfly that considers parsley a host plant. Parsley is a biennial, so that means it's 2 years to complete its biological life cycle, and it flowers, it goes to flower in year 2. Full sun, but again, it will tolerate a bit of shade. And then marigolds for the crust of your pizza. So you'll plant the marigolds around the perimeter of your circular garden, and it'll give the sense of it being the crust. Certain varieties of marigolds may effectively control certain parasitic nematodes by releasing a toxic chemical, so that's a good thing. And marigolds can also attract beneficial insects such as hoverflies, ladybugs, and parasitic wasps. And then you can use a nice mulch like a salt hay or a straw, but you want to make sure it's seed-free, and that mulch will help the garden retain moisture. It'll help suppress weeds, and it's organic, so it'll also enrich your soil. Now we're going to plant the pizza. You're going to plant the garden in slices. You divide the garden in 8 equal slices using the string as your guide, as we saw earlier. You plant the tomato plants in the northernmost section of the garden because they're going to grow the tallest, so they won't block sun from your other plants. Obviously, you follow the directions on the plant tags regarding spacing. Label each plant using a Sharpie and a garden stake. As we talked about, plant the marigolds around the perimeter. And again, those pavers are just a cute idea because they may look like pepperoni, and it'll give you a place to step within the garden when you're harvesting. And as we mentioned, you're going to mulch to suppress weeds. And the straw, you can tell yourself it looks like shredded cheese on the pizza. And if you're doing this with children or with a class or with a scout troop, let the kids be creative and decorate and really have fun with it. And a very important part of any garden is the maintenance. So once the garden is planted, it will need to be weeded and watered consistently. Once the season is over and all your crops have been harvested, you'll need to put the garden to bed. So you're going to remove and compost most of the plant material. Your perennials, oregano, thyme, chives, will overwinter and they'll return the next season. So you can mark your calendar, late April, you're going to prepare your garden bed, get your soil test, make your amendments. In mid-May, usually Mother's Day, you'll plant the garden because danger of frost is usually over after Mother's Day in our zone. Mid to late July or early August, you'll start harvesting your vegetables. The herbs can be harvested a little sooner than that. And then in October and November, you're going to put your garden to bed and you're going to plant your garlic for the next season. You'll harvest your garlic planted in October, November, in July of the next season. And then you enjoy the fruits of your labor, beautiful fresh produce to top your homemade pizzas. And that is it from me. And I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Claire. That was awesome. I really love the idea of actually planting a little extra parsley for the butterflies or the marigolds for the ladybugs. I think I'll be doing extra of that throughout my garden. Okay, so we are going to move on to Virginia, and she can start sharing her screen, and she will be discussing a little bit about pizza.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Virginia Krasinowski, and I'm the Monmouth County 4-H Program Associate. I'm also the leader of the Globe Tasters Cultural Cuisine Club, and I'd like to welcome you here tonight to That's Amore, for the love of pizza. And I just wanted to remind everybody that tonight we're going to think outside the box, outside the pizza box, I mean. So let's get started. Let's get this pizza party started. Okay, so when you have pizza, when the moon hits your eye, like a big pizza pie, it's amore. And we all know that amore means love. So what types of pizza catch your eye? Who are you in love with when you look at the pizza? Move my pictures here so I can see. Let's fall in love all over again. Okay, so the term pizza is a noun and was first used in 1825. It's of Germanic origin, and pizzo means to bite. So it's a bite. And pizza is commonly known as a dish of Italian origin consisting of a flat, round base of dough baked with a topping of tomato sauce and cheese, typically with added meat or vegetables. So here we have the basic dough to the left, and then their traditional sauce or gravy, the added cheese, and to the right you have two options of either meat pizza or a vegetable pizza. So let's travel to Italy. You've got your bags packed and your passport ready to go, and you're flying to Italy. So here's our little map of Italy, and if you look in the center here, you'll see a little teeny pizza pie, and that's pointing to Naples. And we're going to talk about Naples in a minute, but Naples plays an important role in the history of pizza. And then if you go down to the bottom of the boot, you're going to see Sicily. And most of us know and have heard of Sicilian pizza. So here's a couple beautiful pictures of Italy that makes you want to go there, right? The cobblestone streets and the beautiful waters and the beautiful flag of Italy. And notice the colors. Okay, so this is the legend. We're going to taste the tradition. So the legend has it that the pizza margherita was invented in 1889, and it was to honor Queen Margherita. And in 1889, her husband, King Umberto I, and Queen Margherita of Savory went to Italy to visit their Italian kingdom. When she was there, she observed a lot of peasants eating this large, flat, round bread, and she was being served French cuisine, which was very fancy and very rich. So she requested a piece of that bread, and a baker, Raphael Esposito of Naples, decided to make a very special pizza for her, a very special bread. So he added cheese, the mozzarella cheese, the tomatoes, and fresh basil to represent the colors of the flag of Italy. So I never knew that before, and I just think it's a beautiful history about pizza. Okay, so let's look at these facts. This is pretty interesting, the US history of pizza. So the first pizza parlor was started in 1905. Lombardi's became the first official US licensed pizza parlor in New York City. So that's why New York is so famous for its New York pizza. And then Chicago style came in after that. And then after World War II, it was very, very popular and everybody wanted pizza. And then in the late 1940s, Detroit had their style, and it just kept moving on until 1984. We have National Pizza Month in October. And if you look at the other side of the screen, the facts about pizza, I think it's pretty interesting that out of 5 billion pizzas that are sold worldwide, 3 billion of them are sold in the United States. So we are truly in love with pizza. And I also found it interesting that pepperoni is the #1 meat that's chosen. Women are considered better tippers when the pizza is delivered to their house. Way to go, girls. And out of the choices of meat pizza compared to vegetable pizza, 62% of Americans prefer the meat pizza, and 32% of the Americans, 38% want veggies. And they're more likely to be women. Okay, so you know what our boy Frank Sinatra says, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And here you can see regional pizza is a thing in the United States. So anywhere you go, of course, we start in our neck of the woods with the New York style pizza. And of course, New York is famous for the first pizza. And then we move across the country to all these different styles of pizza. And anywhere that you go, you'll find pizza, but it always has a variation to it. So what's your favorite? Okay, now we have to talk about the dough. The dough is a key aspect of pizza. And when we're making pizza, we can use anything that we want to be our dough. So you can even start with an English muffin in the morning, use a flatbread. How about a pumpernickel? Ever think of making a Reuben pizza where you would add Swiss cheese and pastrami and sauerkraut on top? Yum. And then we also have, everybody knows the waffle pizza or the pancake pizza. Many people like to make that in the morning and put fresh yogurt on it and fruit. And on the right side are our dessert pizzas. So on the top, we have a sugar crust, a cookie sugar crust that's being frosted. Underneath that is a brownie pizza with a la mode with ice cream. And at the bottom is a chocolate chip cookie pizza. So anything that you can imagine, you can make into a pizza. The next key ingredient is the sauce. So as some of us call it sauce, others call it gravy, but it's that traditional red sauce that we all look forward to having on our pizza. But there's many different options. If you look to the left, it has no sauce at all. This pizza is just made with olive oil, vegetables, and a little bit of cheese. And below that, that is buffalo chicken pizza using ranch buffalo dressing on it. And the one in the middle, the lower center one, that is actually melted cream cheese on that pizza. To the right on the top is a pesto made with basil. We talked about growing that in the garden. You'll see herbs throughout. And the bottom right one is another dessert one. That's Nutella with crushed nuts. And we learned about the benefits of nuts. So everything's in moderation. Add a few healthy things onto your pizza and then go for it. Okay, so the next thing is cheese, please. And again, when you look to the left, when you think of pizza, you think of mozzarella, or you'll think of the ricotta below. And many people like that for the white pizza. So up at the top here in the middle is gorgonzola cheese, and that's with spinach. And below that is a Swiss cheese. To the right, we have shredded cheddar cheese. And on the bottom is a ham and cheese. And this is another creamy cheese that would be kind of in the beef dairy kind of cheese. Okay, and for you meat lovers, here we go, the meat lovers pizza. So we have a variety of all different kinds of meat and fish that you can put on your pizza. So on the left, the most popular one in the United States, which we talked about, was pepperoni. And then the second runner-up is the sausage. Many people like sausage and peppers. If you look next to that, that's a cheesesteak pizza. Or mushroom, sorry, I think that's mushroom. Can't really tell. And a cheesesteak pizza. The one here at the top to the right is anchovies. We have a meatball pizza, and at the bottom is a chicken pizza, again, another variation of that buffalo chicken. This is actually barbecue chicken. So really, you can put any meat that you want on a pizza. Okay, and for you vegan and vegetarian lovers and the rest of us trying to get our 5 servings of fruits and vegetables in every day, we have lots of good and healthy things. And what Cherie said was correct. Experiment. You can try all different things and see what you like. So we have our spinach leaves, we have our tomatoes, of course, broccoli, mushrooms, eggplant, onions, zucchini, olives, and of course the beautiful peppers rings, and the mushrooms and garlic. Where would we be at without them? You can put all of those, any of those, or none of those on your pizza, depending on your taste. Okay, and now we're down to fantastic fruit. Great way to get your 5-a-day fruits and vegetables in. Here we go. So you can use grapes. Pineapple is very popular on pizzas. I saw a pear pizza with blue cheese. It looked delicious. We have mango or papaya. You can use that. Bananas, kiwi, and of course, berries are very popular. And look at this beautiful design. So we have the strawberry and then the raspberry, blackberry, blueberries. How beautiful is that? And for us gardeners, what a perfect way to make a pizza and celebrate the garden by having a beautiful sunburst flower design. Okay, now we had already learned about herbs, and you can do your pizza garden outside, and you can also do a little one inside. If you need to grow some herbs for your pizza and you don't have the land available to you, you can do all of these beautiful herbs. We've got the basil, oregano, thyme, mint. Mint is very popular on a lot of them. Rosemary even, and cilantro. I saw some pizzas that had a Mexican twist to them, so that's kind of fun. And you can actually buy these little packages here that have the pizza herb blends already mixed together for the type of pizza you want to make. So it's heavenly. It just adds so much aroma and flavor to your pizza. Okay, so now we need to learn about the tricks and the tools of the trade. So if you look to the left on the top, you'll see a commercial pizza oven. And if you look beneath it, you'll see a brick oven. And the brick oven can either be coal-fired or wood-fired. And it makes a big difference in the taste. It's interesting to know that those pizza ovens get up to 400, 500, even 900 degrees. And pizza needs to cook for the crust, the dough to be really good at a high heat at a short time. And so that's why when you try to make it at home, it never comes out as good as when you go out for pizza or have it brought in. So if you look to the right, the top is the oven with what's called a pizza stone. And that helps to, the stone heats up and it helps to cook the crust. But another way to do it is beneath that where you work on your grill. So you want to have, like, this is the old kettle grill. I don't know how many people still use that, but you want to have either your coal or your wood chips in there. And that will give you more of the heat that you desire and more of the flavor with the pizza if you're looking for that brick oven taste. So the tools that you need, of course, is a large ladle to move your sauce around. Also the peel, which is like the rake or the tool used to put the pizza in and out of the oven. And at the bottom, you'll see this is called a rocker knife. And that's one way to slice pizza so that you're just working back and forth to get your 8 or 12 slices, however many you want. I've learned working with kids in 4-H, the easiest way to cut up a pizza is with a pair of kitchen scissors. You've got to work quick. Okay, so now we're going to talk pizza all day long from sunrise to sunset. Is that a song? Sunrise? No, it's not. Okay, let's start with breakfast. What do we have here? We've got eggs on our pizzas, and we can do all kinds of things. The top one's scrambled eggs. The next one is egg and spinach pizza. And the bottom one is an egg and veggie, tomato, and a few other things on there. So you're set. If you like pizza, you can have it for breakfast, and then you can move on to lunch. And where would lunch be without the famous pizza bagel? You haven't lived unless you've had a pizza bagel, especially as a child. And underneath that is a traditional slice of pizza that everybody gets for lunch, but this one has a little bit of a twist to it. If you look, it's a stuffed crust pizza, and they're stuffed with mozzarella. And beneath that, again, is a different variation on the fruit pizza. So many parents like to make their kids pizzas during the day, like with a waffle and yogurt or cream cheese and fruit on it. And that's one way to get another serving of fruit in. All right, if you haven't had your fill, we're moving on to dinner. All right, again, we have another vegetarian option on the top. And beneath that is, oh, I know, that's a buffalo chicken pizza. And you can see the little chunks of chicken in there. And at the bottom is a traditional Chicago deep dish pizza. So have you had enough yet? No, I don't think so. We're moving on to dessert. Now this top one really got my attention. I had never heard or seen this before. This is a pizza that the dough is made out of kind of like crescent rolls, and then the middle is like a cinnamon sugar topping with a streusel on top of that. And I thought that was really interesting. That could be a dessert or even like a breakfast brunch kind of thing for a sweet part. And beneath that is what they call a spring pizza, and it's loaded with candy and mini marshmallows and all the colors of spring. It looks a little Eastery to me. And then finally at the bottom is again a chocolate pizza that's peanut butter and dark chocolate. So it's got some benefits there for you. Hopefully you'd have enough pizza after a day like this. Okay, and we're getting towards the end here, but I just want to remind you that everybody loves pizza. And no matter what time of the day or night, it can always be pizza time. And especially if you live in New Jersey, because you don't even have to make it. You just pick up the phone and order it, or go to your right around the corner. So as I end my program, I just want to wish everyone a ciao, Bella. And I'm going to ask Rachel if she would be kind enough to share some audio
Sure.
with you.
Thank you so much. I will share that in one moment. I want to thank you for your wonderful presentation. Actually made me very hungry. Our favorite pizza around here is actually fig with a little brie cheese and arugula on top. So it's kind of a different take, different flavors and such. So I will, if you just stop sharing your screen there, I'm going to launch our poll, and we ask if everyone please complete this. It will only take you a couple minutes. It's just some questions that we ask to help improve our programs and make sure we're reaching many different audiences and help prepare for new programs in the future. And I am going to share a little music for you in the background as you do so. And then once we are done, hopefully if there's any questions, you can put them in the chat and we will get to those.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. When the stars make you drool, just like a pasta fazool, that's amore. When you dance down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusa me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. That's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. That's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella, Vita Bella, Vita Bella. Hearts will play, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. Lucky fella. When the stars make it blue, just like pasta fazool, that's amore. That's amore. When you dance down the street with the cloud at your feet, you're in love.
Okay, so I just want to thank everyone again. If you could still just complete the poll, there's a few that we're still waiting on. And if there are any questions, we can go through those. I see some have been answered, so I appreciate our guest panelists for appreciating and responding to those. I want to thank again all of our guest presenters. It's been very informative and I think everyone learned quite a bit, and we can go from A to Z with starting our exercises and having a plant-based diet to creating our garden and then having a delicious pizza afterwards, well-earned, delicious, whatever it be, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So I thank everyone again. And if you need to reach us, we are located in the Monmouth County office and we will get back to you with any further programs. And thank you for attending. Have a wonderful evening.